actually shared your first race car. You didn't both have one. You shared the car. What was that like? I mean, did you enjoy that?
No, not at all.
But a guy gets starting to win 75, 50, 75% of the time he comes out, and now all of a sudden there's a lot of people in the pits that they don't like that guy.
They keep yelling cheater.
He's cheating.
Winning. If you're winning, you're cheating.
Nobody can win.
Little Bobby will bounce back. He'll be all right.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right. Before you know it, Wes will be laying on the front stretch at Charlotte with him again, helping him hug the trophy. So all will be well in the Bobby Pierce world. You guys tell me, how many times does somebody beat the truck fair and square? I'm not talking about breaking or anything like that. How many times do you get beat in that truck at Thunder Mountain this year?
0.
And welcome into a brand new edition of Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live, presented by Bluegrass Restoration and Constructions. Be sure to go over and check out our buddy. Well, let's see. We got Tony, we got Chris over there, Dana, all of our friends over there at Bluegrass Restoration and Construction. They'll take care of all your construction needs. They're right over there off of Berea Road, headed right beside of Captain D's. You can't miss it. So anything you need when it comes to repairing your home or construction work, give them a call. They'll take great care of you. You can. This is the Wilson Plumbing Studio. I'm all been out of sorts, man. I'm not used to having to say presented by Bluegrass Restoration and Construction because the intro video used to say that, but it don't anymore.
Right.
So Wilson Plumbing Studio. You can call the Absolute Seamless Gutters hotline. That's 859-412-1287. Wes, I can't wait, man. We're going to have a fun show here. It was going to be a little bit more fun. I was looking forward to kind of having a watch party here for that race at Eldora. Unfortunately, they just called it. So here we go, man.
I know it. I watched the hot laps and been watching some of the driver interviews that they've had. Cool to have the little segment there with Josh McGuire at a Grace in Kentucky. Good to see his insights, and still a guy that he's not behind the wheel of a race car, but he's still thoroughly involved in dirt racing across the state and across the country. So I hate to see that. I loved your new intro video there. You kind of slipped that in on me and told me last second. Said got a new little video. Really cool, man. Good job on that.
Yeah, well, I need to tweak it some and kind of get the volume and stuff right on the background music and stuff. It's the first time I've ever tried to do that. Just sort of, a lot of these podcasts and stuff you hear, that's kind of what they do to open up the show. And I thought, it'd be cool to just take some sound bites from our stuff and sort of do the same thing there. So it turned out pretty good. I think I'll tweak it just a little bit, man. Make it a little bit faster. We'll be a little bit better next week. But I appreciate that for sure. It's going to be a fun show. Like I said, we're going to have Josh Vinyard on here with us in just a few minutes. Going to talk to him about his days with live action motorsports, and then of course he's running with the American All-Star Series now. A lot of things going on there with him, but I can't wait to talk about that because you remember it. It was man, that was a big thing. Like it was a big deal. Until it wasn't, and then one day it wasn't anymore. It was gone. But it was fun while it lasted.
I can remember the show that they shot over there at Ponderosa Speedway.
Yeah,
had the critters getting the infield and in the press box and all that good stuff. And who you gonna call? Live action.
yeah.
Man.
Didn't they have? Wasn't it Coons? In the press box? Yeah. The Coons and
the little critters make all kind of messes or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, it was that look, I don't know anything about that show, but I know that part. It was exaggerated a little bit. I don't think it's a common occurrence at the pond for coons to be in the press box. I don't know. I'm just guessing partially on that. But I don't think that is exactly the case.
Yeah.
Made for TV, just a little bit.
Just a little bit little bit of entertainment there made for TV in the big city of Junction City,
Yeah,
Kentucky.
that's right. It kind of shows
All
you
right,
too, though,
look here.
man.
I already got spammers. Look here.
I'll tell you what, 22.
Gosh.
Here I was all excited about 22 comments, and look at them.
Yeah.
Daggone it.
Eldora watch party. They've done stole your thunder.
Oh, man. They sure did. They
Uh,
sure did. I tell you, though, we do have a lot of comments on there. Appreciate everyone tuning in here with us tonight. Go ahead and share this. Let's get some more people on here. It's going to be a fun show. Not because we got Josh Vinyard. We do have a driver coming on here with us, and that'll be a lot of fun. I enjoy talking to all these guys. I talked to Calvin Carlton earlier about coming on with us at some point, and well, he's a sponsor of our show, and really I like Calvin. He's a good guy, and I think it'd be fun to talk to him. He said he's not much of a public speaker, though. Had to give him some time to maybe prepare for it. He said he gave a public speech one time in high school during a speech class, and he passed out on them. So we don't want him passing out.
oh,
It wouldn't be good.
I just can't believe that Calvin, we always talk, everything's good. Calvin's talking, everybody cutting up, and then Josh tells me that he passed out in a public speaking class. I'm like, oh well, we might have him on a show from the track, just a spontaneous deal.
Yeah, we'll have to get him. We'll have to catch him off guard. It's better to do it that way anyway. Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't understand that phobia, being afraid of public speaking. I'll be honest with you. I love public speaking. I can speak in public just about better than I can speak to just standing and talking to somebody, to be honest with you, which is kind of funny too. But yeah, because I do, though. I've always enjoyed it, and it's just kind of been part of who I am, I guess. I love to public speak, but I struggle if I'm sitting here having a conversation with you and we're off the air. I can't hardly even carry a conversation, but I can public speak anyway. So, do the best.
I ain't had no trouble speaking. I mean, I talk to the wall if it listen or talk.
Yeah, you could definitely talk to the wall if it would listen. Well, I mean, that's the difference between me. I mean, honestly, and people may not realize it. They see me on here and stuff and doing all this and interviews and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really an introvert, to be honest with you. I'm Wes is the most extroverted person on earth. I mean, he will talk to everybody and anybody and find somebody, and you just feed off more and more. And I'm kind of the opposite. I mean, I love talking to people and stuff, don't get me wrong. But I'm not necessarily the kind of person to walk up and always start a conversation with someone, that. And Wes is complete opposite of that, which is really a good thing. So
I get it started, and then Josh just kind of follows, and then I just let him go, and he's good. It's like them little wind up cars. You wind them up and get them going. After that, I mean, he's talking to everybody over there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I don't understand the public speaking phobia, but I tell you what, I understand phobias, and I get it. There's some things, man, that just ain't for everybody. I'll tell you, mine is heights. I am scared. I hate it. It makes me so mad I can't stand it because I don't want to be afraid of heights. I love to deer hunt. I want to get in a tree stand so bad I can't stand it. Yeah. And I'm fine in a climbing stand. As long as I've got something under me, I'm fine. I can use a climbing stand all day. I've got something under me the whole time, I'm good. But if I don't have something under me and I'm having to climb up something where I don't have something below me, I mean, I get pass out. Literally, I feel like I want to pass out, which ain't good when you're 30 feet up in a tree. You don't need to be feeling like you're going to pass out.
Don't fall out of a tree. That's bad.
No, that's for sure. But tell me in the comments. We know Calvin, his phobia is public speaking. Mine's afraid of heights. I can't stand it. I hate it. I wish I could change it. I've tried it. What's your phobia? What you got a phobia, Wes? Is there anything you're afraid of?
I don't like heights either.
Okay.
I mean, me and Annabeth went to the fair, and she's like, ride the Ferris wheel with me, Daddy. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I can do this. And I rode it with her. But heights is not something that I enjoy. I don't know. I think one of the things I don't like heights is when my mommy was pregnant with me, she rode that big water slide that the big log ride at
Oh,
Kings Island, and
man.
I think that's why I don't like heights.
Yeah.
But that is kind of a you can call that a phobia. I don't like them either.
Yeah, I think it is, man, because like I said, I can't help it. I get, like, sick to my stomach and everything. It's not good. Well, tell us in the comment section. If you got a phobia, tell us. I'm interested. See, what's everybody out there afraid of? We got some people ain't afraid of nothing. I guarantee you that. There's some people on this podcast ain't afraid of going fast, I promise you. So, but let us know. Let's take over the comment section. Get these bots out of here. Tell us what's your phobia. What are you afraid of there in the comment section? Well, it is Dream Week, Wes. It's upon us. Thought we were going to have a little flow race and Not in America action for us all to sit here and talk about. I had my TV set up right here in front of me, like I was going to be able to talk about the race, and we could talk about whatever else we wanted to do, and it was going to be a whole lot of fun. But tonight's rained out. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the Dream, man, it's going to be wide open and a whole lot of fun. Wish we was up there.
I do too, man. I do too. Got a lot going this week. I know it's an event that I have never been to the Dream, and I know it's one of those deals that I've listened to all the coverage, today, and they talk about all the different storylines, the crazy events, the crazy finishes, the no green light with Bloomquist in 2015, just crazy things that's happened at the Dream. It's like just one of them races we just need to go to and kind of plan for it maybe next year. But yeah, been to several World 100s, but never been to the Dream.
Yeah, well, I know, man. I went one time with my stepdad. We went up and drove up on Saturday, slept in the truck Saturday night, and headed back home on Sunday morning when we went to the Dream. It's the first race I ever went to at Eldora, so it would be a whole lot of fun to be up there, but it's going to be fun sitting here at the house watching it on Flow this weekend, so can't wait for that. I really wish we were up there, though, because you can't beat being at the track there at Eldora. So, well, hey, something big happened this past weekend. A lot of people realized it. Some people didn't. A lot of people did, because we had a lot of people coming up and telling us. We were both at the same track at the same time, man. How about that? I mean, two of us all at the same time at Rockcastle Speedway. Only the second time this year that's happened. So that was a lot of fun, too.
About dang time's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. It is about dang time, man. Like, it's kind of just, busyness of, one weekend you'll be out with work and whatever, and another weekend I can't make it. And it's just, so like I said, second time this year, we were both able to be there at Rockcastle. It's a whole lot of fun, honestly, when we can both be there at the same place at the same time. And I was glad to be back at the racetrack with you this weekend. And the rain, man, just daggone it.
Man.
This has been the worst year. Yeah. I don't know if I ever remember a year worse than this one when it comes to just rain ruining everything, I'm telling you.
And it'd be pretty through the week and then just, rain on race day. It's like, I know. Man, I just hope Mother Nature gets it out of her system.
I hope so too. And we were there the whole time, and they did a great job doing the best they could. They got the KDRA Superstock race in, but it was just a struggle. I mean, it would rain, and look, they spent, I don't know, how long was it rolling that track back in? Just the effort they put in just to try their best to get that show in was just really cool to see.
Absolutely. I mean, the track staff and Dwayne and, drivers in the pits and all the effort to get that track back in. And once they got it back, I'm like, all right, everything's good. They're going to get the race. We're going to get all this in, because radar was showing we were good to like 4 a.m. Well, yeah. Don't always rely on what you read on the radar. But yeah, just to we got to commend Rockcastle Speedway and their staff for all the hard work, because they were going to try their dangest to get everything in, and just a huge applause to them for doing that.
Well, and and then how about the fact that so they get what they could in. They got through the KDRA Superstock Series feature there on Saturday night. Blake Brown picks up the win. And everybody is saying, hey, well, how could you expect anything else? Of course, but he picks up the win, and that it ends at that point. But then they decide later on this week that they're going to run makeup features on Friday night, have a little open practice before the features are run. I think Crown Vics are going to run heat races and feature.
Yeah.
They're the only ones. But the fact that they're going to do the makeup features on Friday night and then go back Saturday with a full program, really a no-win situation there for the racetrack.
Right.
But they decided to do it for the racers, and a lot of people were saying they wanted that, and they did it. It just hats off to them for handling it that way. When it's really not a win for the racetrack, but it is a win for the racers. So
yeah,
it's a good
I agree, and a lot of people was talking about that. After everything was called that night, and I know drivers was just wondering, what call was going to be made, what the decision would be made. So, as you said, it's in that situation for a promoter, it's a tough call either way. And so I really think they made the right decision. And I know I've seen a lot of people praising it, word of mouth, and then also on social media.
Yeah, it's a good thing for sure. So really, just glad to see that, and happy to hear that they're gonna do that. I think it's best for everyone, and it'll be good for them in the long run as well. Well, let's go ahead real quick here and go to the Absolute Seamless Gutters hotline. You can call the hotline. We'll talk to you as well. It's 859-412-1287. Our buddy Roberson's on the line. What you got for us tonight, buddy? I know you got something good. Well, he was.
Ronald Robertson.
See, he was on the line.
Yeah.
Hey, what you got for us tonight, buddy? I was holding for you, and you hung up. Right, I was getting to you. I promise.
Hey, who you think gonna win the dream?
All right. Well, yeah, we'll pick the dream winners for you right here, buddy. You tell us yours first, and then we'll pick ours. Who you think's gonna win the dream?
I'm gonna go with Dale McDowell.
All right, Dale McDowell, the
Daddy.
dream winner. Thank you, buddy. We got that pick, man. You have a good week. I know you'll be tuned in there on Flow Racing. Or are you at Eldora? He hung up.
Oh.
All right, fine then. We don't want to talk to you either, Rose. And you just hang up on us. I don't.
Hey, that's a good pick though.
It is
100 lap race. Dale Mack's always there.
Oh, he is. But we got to wait till the end of the show for the DirtmanDiecast.com State Dinner Pick'em Challenge. We'll tell you who we think's gonna win the dream. So we'll get to that. But for now, let's go ahead real quick here, and we'll take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk to Josh Vinyard. Really excited to talk to him. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and plenty more to come here on the podcast.
Hi, I'm Chris Lowry with Bluegrass Restoration and Construction. From simple service work to full paints, roofing, flooring, and everything in between, we're your one-stop shop for your home maintenance and remodeling needs. Our family has been serving the Richmond area for 3 generations, and we're proud to continue that today. You also voted us the best general contractor in Madison County in 2022. We thank you for that honor. Give us a call for all your construction needs at 859-353-1133.
All right, welcome back to Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live. We're now joined by the driver of the number 96 Pro Late model. He's following the American All-Star Series this year, Josh Vinyard. This guest segment is brought to you by Fast Track Plumbing, and this will also be the Wayne's Auto Repair Driver of the Week. It only took me like 2 months to get that down. So there you go, Wayne. I've got it, buddy. And so we appreciate all of our sponsors and those folks that help us out here on the podcast. And Josh, we appreciate you joining us on here this evening, man. We're looking forward to a conversation here. You got a lot of good stuff to get to.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for letting me on. I've always wanted to come on here, but I'm not as famous as other people, so
Yeah.
maybe one day it might happen.
Hey man, we do the best. We do the best we can, and you ain't got to be famous to come on here. You're plenty famous enough. So yeah, for sure. Uh, it's really always a lot of fun to get you guys on here because there's so much regionally and then also nationally. Wes, you know this. We talk about this a lot, but just locally right here in our area, there's not a lot of opportunities for drivers to promote themselves. I mean, to get to
Right.
know, for our fans to get to know drivers and that sort of thing, and that's what this is all about. So, well, tell us about your season. You talked about it there. We talked a little bit before the show started. Tell us about your season so far. You're following that American All Star Series, and
Yeah, yeah, it's actually been crap. I mean, one thing after another, just bad luck, bad luck. Maybe one day we'll get the monkey off our back, but it is what it is. I've ran into some problems. I just put this new car together. It's not a new car; it's still an old car, but I put it back together after I was in Florida, and they're just the car that I was racing. There just wasn't nothing there, and I couldn't get the right front to work and things like that. So I had an old car that I started out in that I bought off of Timmy Taylor, and it was been sitting in the weeds for about 2 years. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just bring that guy back out. We call her Big Bird. It was all yellow
Uh-huh.
Dutch and all that. So we call her Big Bird, and we done little things to her, and upgraded the front suspension a little bit, put a new style rear end under it. Just little things like that, just to kind of help. And I guess we've gotten about 4 races on it so far, and we're learning as we go. Learned a lot this past weekend at Beckley. Had carburetor issues from day one. Honestly, I found out. I bought that carburetor and got it shipped here, and they told me not to touch it, and I don't know nothing about them, so I didn't touch it. And find out the bleeders was screwed all the way in, so I wasn't getting no air coming through. The fuel air mixture was all jacked up, so. There's a guy out there, Stephen Martin. He actually tore my carburetor apart, went through it, cleaned it, adjusted it, put it all back together, and it felt like I had 100 more horsepower after that. So it's just been, it's been a long road, and bad luck after bad luck, and maybe one day it'll all come around.
so what is you talked about it being sitting in the weeds for a couple of years there, and you got it from Tim Taylor. What is the car though? What's it?
So it's a '08 Blue Gray Rocket, and
Okay.
it's been updated to a 15 with the front end and the rear end in 15. It hasn't seen Rocket since.
Okay.
I bought that car. It was Timmy Yeager drove that car for a little while for Robbie Bennett, and then when Robbie Bennett got out of it, he sold it to Tim Taylor there in Harrodsburg, and he shot me a deal on it for like 11.5 turnkey. So I had to buy it.
Yeah.
I had a junkie modified at the time, and it just all worked out. I was able to get it at that point in time. Then I raced that car for a couple of years. We had a pretty good run with it. It's still top 10 about everywhere you went. Went to Bristol and ended up having a really good car at Bristol. This was the first year at Bristol. Ended up having a really good car, and then a body breaks and cut the left rear down, and just bad luck, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I hear you, man. That's well. So why go to the Pro Late model? You were in the modified there. What was why did you make the decision to go to a Pro Late model?
Well, I've always wanted to have a late model anyway. And it's just timing, funding, things like that. So I think I might have. So I traded around. I started out with a '93 Toyota 4Runner and had a blown up motor. I bought that thing for $500.
Yeah.
And went and found a motor at a junkyard, put the motor in it, and I ended up trading that 4Runner to a 2001 Toyota 4Runner. Put a lift kit and tires and wheels on it. Traded it for a 2001 Mustang GT.
Yeah.
Drove it around for about a week or two, and then turned around and traded it out of Georgia for a super stock car.
Okay.
It was all stock. It had stock floor pans, and I mean, it was not a good car. So I ended up trading it for another super stock. So I just kept trading and trading and trading, and then finally I got that modified, and I raced it for a little bit, and then I blew a motor up at Ponderosa, and then I bought a short block off of a guy here in Junction and put it all back together, and it wasn't a week later some guy from Ohio wanted to buy it, so I priced it to him, and it's actually still racing at Eldora on the weekly basis now.
Oh wow.
Or black number 33.
Yeah.
And so that's what got me the start on getting that late model. So sold that, I was able to get a little bit more money and get that late model turnkey, race ready, and then just started hammering down from there, trying to see if we can make something happen.
I got you. So we're looking to get into a Crown Vic here. It's going to be the dirt race and the bluegrass. I'm going to get one, and we're going to call it the dirt race and the bluegrass house car. Sounds like what I need to do, Wes, is I got a screwdriver out there in the shop. I need just start. I can start with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And just keep trading. Eventually, I'll have a Crown Vic. I think that probably it worked for you. I don't see why it wouldn't work for me. You know.
5 years, but yeah, it worked.
5 years, man. There may not be any Crown Vics left. They're gonna go through them. I gotta go faster than that. So yeah, we'll see. But no, that's it's kind of crazy. And I mean, it's tough, you know. Like I mean, it's a hard thing to do to have a race car, man. Drive it. You know, it's tough. Anything you do in racing, I don't care what you're doing, and so being able to find a way to make that happen and to keep doing it, and now be following a series and having fun with that, it's a really cool thing to do, and I think that people don't realize it, but that's an accomplishment in itself to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I went to the races my whole life. My mom would take me to the races when I was a kid, Ponderosa every weekend, because that's when they raced every Friday.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of one of those things that my grandpa raced back in the 70s, and so I felt like I needed to be a racer too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I've always wanted one, and I had when I was younger, I had a couple of cars. I think I bought my first car. I was 14 years old. I bought it off of Bobby Senior, Bobby Carrier Senior. It was I think it was like a 77 or 78 Camaro.
Yeah.
And I had big goals. I was going to strip this car down. We're going to turn it into a bad bomber, and have a good time with it. And I ended up stripping it down. I was 14, so I could only do so much, and I didn't have a job. Yeah. And so I had dreams of having a race car. It just never happened. And then one day I left it at my dad's, because I went to my dad's every weekend. And one day it was just gone. I guess he got tired of me working on it or not making nothing happen with it, so he got rid of it. But yeah, it's always been something that I've wanted to do. Didn't know how I was going to do it, because I'm one of those guys that works our butts off, 80 hours a week doing HVAC, just trying to make it, And so I tried every way in the world, and eventually it all started falling in line. So I'm not as good as I want to be, but at least I'm there.
Yeah, you're there, man.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And look at, just in the few minutes we've been talking to you, you've listed some pretty cool places that you've got to go and race, not just in the state of Kentucky, but I mean, you've raced at Bristol, you've raced in Florida, you've raced at Beckley, West Virginia. I mean,
yeah.
You've traveled a little bit and raced on some pretty upscale racetracks, across the country.
I had no business. I had
no but at least you can say you done it.
That's yeah. Right. Florida comes around and we're all ready to go racing, and we've been working on our cars all weekend. And, usually February, the end of February or the end of January, the beginning of February is like a slow time for HVAC. It comes in spurts. You'll get busy the 1st of January, and then February you'll start slowing down a little bit. So why not, go down there. All of my buddies are going down there. We go and drink a few beers and hang out and do a little bit of racing and have a good time. That's what we do.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time to me. And no, I mean, it's true though. I think it's an accomplishment just to be able to be out there. I mean, look, you think about it. You show up at a racetrack, and if there's 5 series, you're gonna have 5 winners in the night, and there's probably over 100 cars there. Most of the time, or close to it, 80 to 100 cars. So it's tough to get it. You know as well as anybody. You're out there doing it every week. It's tough, man. This thing is hard, and people don't realize how hard it is. I remember for years sitting in the stands and talking about, oh man, if I'd do this, I'd get up there, because everybody wants to talk about, get up on that high side and let it, yeah, until you get. It's not as easy as these guys make it look. It's hard. It really is.
Different scenario. I was 14 and I'm sitting here talking. I'm seeing these guys out here, and I'm like, man, if he would have went low going into one right there, he could have passed that guy, and then it would have set him up to pass the next one.
Yeah.
Totally different scenario once you get out there. And these dude, I mean, we're looking at, for instance, over at Beckley this past weekend, it was a 15,000 to win, and from first to 47th was about a half a second difference.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
How cars are. And you can do so much, and mainly it comes down to luck.
Yeah.
Have the luck of the draw. You got to be able to keep your nose clean. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for me. I was laying it on the wall wide open as hard as I could, throwing sparks, knocking spoilers off, but it's just one of those deals. You just gotta, it comes down to luck. If you ain't got luck, you ain't gonna make it forward.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's for sure. Wes, we've got to know. We've talked about this several times in the past. I don't know, in moments, just bringing up memories and things. But the live action motorsports. I wanted to know about what you were doing. I said we're going to have Josh Vinyard down here. We've got to talk about live action motorsports, man. I'm sure people out there, you have to remember it. Like, they had the whole deal going. It was a big deal. It really was there for a time. How did that come about? How did you get that gig there driving for them? You had a really good piece. You had a good car.
Yeah.
And a good thing going there. How'd that come about?
It was funny. So I've been going to the races my whole life, and I was actually in the pits, and I would help anybody that would let me get under their car and help them. I've been since I was old enough to go in the pits and be, I think I was 14 years old buffing tires for Michael Chilton. I mean, like, just from the time I was able to, I was there helping, help Bartley Grant for the longest time with his super stock. Leroy was the car. He still has it at his shop right now. He don't race it. It sits outside by the interstate. It's kind of just a memorabilia piece at this point. Yeah. So I was at the racetrack every weekend, and I was there with another buddy of mine, and he had came up to me and he had introduced me to this guy named Jake. And he was telling me that this guy, was on the TV show and all this other stuff, and he had Rick King's old 1.3D car. It had style Monte Carlo body on it. It's a good car. I think it might have been one of the last cars that Rick built before he decided he was going to stop racing. And he had this car, and it didn't have a motor in it. So I could never race, so I done the next best thing. I derbied. I was running big car derbies. Crown Vics and Caprices and things like that. So I had this motor that me and my brother had built when I was younger. It was a 383 stroker. I think I got the rotating assembly used off Bartley Grant. It was part of one of his cars or something. And I had this motor that I had in a demolition derby car. Well, we, he had came up and we had introduced each other, and we was just talking, and he was talking about his car and not having a motor and things like that. And I was like, well, hey, I got one. I said, I don't know how good it would be. I'm sure we'd have to swap a cam out or something to make it a racing. I know the bottom end was pretty good, but the rest of it was basically stock.
Yeah.
So so we had talked about it a little bit more, and then finally he had the car in Versailles somewhere, and he called me one day wanting to go pick it up. and I had a little old shop. It was actually a little old barn. It looked like it was about to fall down. It was just big enough for that super stock car. Like my late model wouldn't fit in and out.
Gotcha.
But it was just big enough for that super stock car. So we brought it over at the house, and he was like, "Hey, let's try to put this motor in here and go out here and see what we can do with it. Have some fun." And I said, absolutely. I was like, if I put this motor in here, though, I'd like to drive it sometime, because he had planned on driving it. And he was like, "Yeah, cool, absolutely. If you get we get your motor done, we'll get it in there, and I'll let you drive it." So I was all psyched up. I
bet.
car always wanted to. So I put that motor in the car and got it running. We'd swap cams out, and I think we might have actually changed the heads too. I think we'd found a set of World Product heads or something to put on it. So we took it to Ponderosa for the first time.
Yeah.
And we had painted it up a little bit just to make it look to where it didn't look so much like Rick King's car. We had painted it black and orange, put a camouflage 33 on it, and we went out there, and it was just problems after problems after problems. Radiator, fan belts, whatever, whatever could happen, happened. I didn't know how to work on them things. I knew the gist, but I wasn't mechanically inclined enough to know how to put a car together and keep it together,
Oh,
So
yeah.
we went out there and we battled it and played with it. And this was like at the end of the race season. I think there was 2 races left. It may have been the last race of the season. So after that night, it was kind of crappy, and I got to make 1 or 2 decent laps in the car. So after it was all said and done, Jake wanted us to race it again, but the only other place racing was 191 Speedway.
Yeah.
I had never seen it at that time. This was probably in 2013, or no, this was in 2012. I had never seen the track. I never went down there to watch races or whatever. So we fixed whatever we thought we needed to fix and went out there, and we actually was running third in the feature. And the left front tire went flat on me, and rookie mistake. The guy from the infield was telling me that I had a flat tire, so I pulled in. Now I would have just drove with a flat left front tire. That's just is. But so I ended up pulling in, and that was the end of that season. There was no more races for the rest of the year. So it just after that we was like, let's put some time into this thing. Let's go over it. Jake had ended up buying another motor, or buying the motor that came out of that car, which was a 421. It was a Hoss. It was, I think King had. Foster Cook built it. It was a big time motor. So we started putting it together and all that kind of stuff. And come 2013, we was hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
A good motor. We was buying new tires, and we had the car looking good, had it wrapped in the Turtle Man camouflage and all this other stuff. Well, apparently Jake seen something that he had liked in my couple of laps that I've actually gotten to race. And so he was like, "I want you to drive it the first part of the season."
Yeah.
And I was just stoked.
I bet. Yeah.
I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" But yeah, so he ended up wanting me to drive it the first part of the season. And so we done all that. We went to Las Vegas for this thing called the SHOT Show with the Turtle Man and all that. And basically it's like a trade show for hunting. Let's say if you own camouflage and I own a gun, that's where we would meet to put your camouflage on my gun.
Gotcha.
So it was deals. I met Stone Cold Steve Austin. I met Ted Nugent, Shawn Michaels. Just all kinds. Because here I am, this poor boy that barely could make it to the racetrack, and now I'm in Las Vegas getting to hang out with all these cool people and the swamp people. I don't know if you remember or not.
Yeah.
Boy Landry, they took us out to dinner one night. It was just cool. You felt like a superstar. You're signing autographs, and you're like, if these people even knew that I've only made like 4 laps,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be
That's funny.
It was the coolest thing ever. with that being said, Bartley, so I'd helped Bartley for several years before that. So Bartley kind of took me under his wing, was teaching me how to work on these cars, teaching me how to make them faster. And it was old leaf spring cars. So he was arching springs and this and that, So Bartley took me under his wing and just kind of showed me the ropes.
Yeah.
So our very first race was at Ponderosa, and it was about my last race. Because I was a rookie. I didn't really know what was going on. I was still, trying to figure it all out, but I had a pretty fast race car.
Yeah.
So we went out there, and I guess I don't remember all the details, but I remember in the feature, Donnie Sullivan was leading back when he had the Camaro, the white Camaro.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie Sullivan was leading, and I was running second. And there was 10 or 15 super stocks there. And this is mainly my first time really getting a race,
Yeah.
So I was running second, and then all of a sudden I came off of turn 4, and the steering wheel came off of my hand.
Oh, no.
Right under the flag stand. Well, I was about to reach my hand out the window to kind of let them know that, hey, I got to bring out a caution. So I started hitting the brake to kind of pull the car to the infield because it only had 3-wheel brakes on it. So I was tapping that brake trying to get into the infield. Well, I can't remember who he was, but there was a guy coming off of turn 4. He had hit the wall, broke a trailing arm, so he was coming in hot. Hit me in the left rear, went over top of my car, flipped his car probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I was scared to death that man just got hurt.
Yeah.
So all because of my steering wheel come off the car. So at that point I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I would hate it if that guy had gotten hurt. Luckily he didn't. We went over there, we got him out of the race car. Everything was fine. It did hurt his race car really bad, but other than that, everything was fine. So, with that being said, I got back in the car and learned from that mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can come by the racetrack at any time. If I'm in staging, if you watch me for 5 minutes in staging, I pull that steering wheel at least 15 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
Learn from my mistakes, and I don't want nothing like that to happen again.
Yeah.
But it was a wild ride, man. It started, and I don't know how it started, and I was just riding it as long as I could.
Yeah.
Well, so so you went from just getting started there and sort of learning, figuring things out. I'm just curious about the whole live action motorsports thing, because you started with just this race car that you kind of piece together, put your motor in it, you go from there, you learn, you figure things out. But how did it become live action motorsports? Because there was a time where you all had like this big live action motorsports merchandise trailer. I mean, like, and Bartley Grant was driving a late model there at one time. You were still driving the super stock. It was like a big thing. How did that all come about? How'd you go from just a startup thing to boom, we're big time?
Well, it just so Jake, the owner of the race car, it's Jake Ison. He was the muscle on the show.
Oh yeah,
big beard. He was the one that was the muscle. He always had big dreams, and he knew how to talk to people, and he knew how to make stuff happen.
Yeah.
So it just after we had went to Illinois and got the car wrapped. So at that point, it was a company called Cloak. They made camouflage, and they had a Turtle Man camouflage.
Oh, okay.
And so we had went up there and we had wrapped this whole car in this Turtle Man camouflage. And with that being said, the wheels started turning. We're like, look at what we could do with this, because that's when, the Turtle Man and all of them were big time, and Jake was on the show, and Turtle Man was involved with the deal. The best person ever was Neil James. Neil James was he was the one that had more faith in me than anybody, and he was the one that basically pushed all of us to make it what it was. I mean, it was tough for a driver like me that never had driven anything. There's multiple drivers out there that should have been in that car besides me.
Yeah.
It just, even Bartley Grant was. I mean, he's still an amazing race car driver. He should have been driving that car, and he probably could have made it a little farther.
Yeah.
But I was learning and trying to figure it out. And Jake kind of liked the idea of the rookie that nobody knew coming in and just trying to, you know, kind of step up and make a name. So he kind of liked that. And like I said, Neil James, he was all about it, and he was probably the biggest supporter of the whole deal. He even wrote a song about it,
Yeah.
and he ended up getting Dylan Carmichael to record it at one time. From back home, like right here close to where I live at,
Yeah.
which I'm now. But yeah, even Dylan Carmichael recorded it. But we had ideas. Everybody has ideas about race teams and things, and I've been around it a lot. Jake had been around it a lot. We had the opportunity there to make something big, and so we just took it and run with it. We would promote as much as we could. I think we even took the car to Smoky Mountain Knife Works in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and parked it out in the parking lot. And because the Turtle Man was doing a live, like an autograph session there, and so we had brought the merchandise trailer and all that kind of stuff out there. But yeah, so Jake had gotten in partners with the people that own the merchandise trailer and all that, and like I said, it just took off.
Yeah.
The show was popular. Everybody loved the show.
Yeah.
It was crazy. You know, I've if I watch it right now, I'm like, what the heck was there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was crazy and wild, and I got to be on some shows and just some crazy stuff. It was in a way, it was kind of a dream come true that came by and ended just about as fast as it came by.
Well, I wanted to get to that too, because I remember very clearly. I don't know how much you remember this, Wes, but I remember very clearly. So 2013, like that whole time period there, we had started dirt racing in the bluegrass and we had our website. It was a big thing, man. We were selling T-shirts like crazy, and you all were at Richmond, and I'd went over and talked to the folks there that worked the T-shirt trailer and the merchandise trailer. And of course, like I said, it's this big, nice setup. And there at Richmond that night, I had worked out a deal with them to sell our dirt racing and the bluegrass shirts.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought, man, I'm in right here, because I've just been packing like we do now, Wes. Like, I'm packing these things around. My dad, every now and then when he can, like, as much as he could, he would Sarah would help me, but they would set up at a little table, and it was rough. It was hard, like it is now. I'm walking around with my backpack. I've got T-shirts in it, ready to sell them. By the way, if you ever see us, I've got T-shirts in my backpack. Buy one, please. But here I am. I'm talking to these people, and like we worked out a deal for them to sell our T-shirts, and I thought, man, this is like awesome. Like I'm gonna sell so many shirts. And they're like, yeah, we'll do it. Absolutely. Yeah, it sounds great. So I leave all my T-shirts there with them. And I walked back over to the pits, and I'm not going to say who it was because I don't know if they'd want me to tell, but somebody that would know, and like when they say something, you listen. I was like, yeah, the Turtle Man, they're selling my T-shirts. I got them all over there. They're going to be at the racetrack everywhere I go. I'm going to sell all kinds of T-shirts. And they're like, go back and get your T-shirts. And I was like, what? No, I don't want to go back. And they're like, they might not be here next week. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, you got to go get your T-shirts. And sure enough, they never showed back up at a racetrack after that. That was that night at Richmond. Had they left with my T-shirts, I'd have probably never seen them again because, like, it was gone. So how did it come to – what happened, man? It was such a big thing. And
I think it got too big too quick, and it come down to management. The management could have worked out a little bit better. And then I think that at that time, I actually think that the whole show was going through some stuff too. I don't know exactly what all. I was never in on that side of it. I was never in on any of that, but it just kind of all started slowing down a little bit. And then, so that car, I had rebuilt that car. I had done put every boat, every rivet, everything in that car. Basically by myself, besides the one person that would come to the shop and help me. I had a lot of time invested. a lot of
Yeah.
time. I didn't have much, money invested because I didn't have any, but I had all kinds of time,
Yeah.
probably more time than I should have because it kind of overtook my life a little bit. Um, but yeah, and then they kind of hooked up with a couple other guys, great guys, and just kind of at that point it just kind of shoved me out of the way, which was fine, absolutely fine. It just kind of happened abruptly, and then after that happened, it wasn't a month or two later, and there was no more. It was done.
Yeah.
Uh, but I it was a quick deal. I was riding it as long as I could ride it, doing whatever I could to make it happen, and we ran good.
Yeah.
That at one time I set fast time at 2:01. Never had been to the racetrack, and we had set fast time there and pulled off the racetrack, and all the tech guys came over, and we had no idea. I had a firewall in the car and I had a floor pan in the car. That's all I'd known. But where we they was different. The cars that they ran there were a little bit different than the super stock cars. So we had altered shock mounts on the front of the car. Well, you
Yeah.
had stock shock mounts at 201, so they disqualified us right there on the spot.
Oh yeah.
It was bad. But you was talking about how the late model deal came about with Bartley Grant.
Yeah.
That was a pretty funny story too. Um, Bartley, amazing dude. He would help me take the shirt off of his back to help me.
Right.
So we went to 201 because we wanted to race. I think it was still kind of the same kind of concept we got now. It was raining all the time, and we wouldn't get to race around home, and we was wanting to race. So I asked Bartley. I said, "Hey Bartley, could I use your enclosed trailer to go to 411?" And he was like, "Absolutely." He was like, we'll use my truck and we'll haul the car down there. And, and Bartley, he was my mentor and he taught me all kinds of stuff about those super stock cars and things like that. So I was like, heck yeah, that's going to be awesome when I have Bartley there and he's going to help me and I can practice and we can, get the car where we need it to be and I can work on my driving and, all that kind of stuff. So we rode up to 411. And I had never seen that track either at that time. So we had rode up there, and Bartley, I think, had been there before. And I was like, man, this track is high bank, hooked up. This is going to be fun. I had an old leaf spring car with a big motor, so I knew we was going to have a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
So right before hot laps, or it might have been it was hot laps, Bartley walked up to me. He said, now, let me just tell you this. He said, going into 1 and 2 there, don't jump that cushion. Because you jump that cushion, you're out of the racetrack. I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to jump that cushion. No way. I was like, so we rolled out there, and I popped her into high gear, went across the front stretch, jumped the cushion, also first wall, jumped the second wall, hit the water tower, bounced back out on the racetrack, all in one motion. Didn't even feel like it happened. It was so quick that it was – like, okay, I literally felt like I just kind of bumped into the wall and then turned back around.
Yeah.
But I'd went over the first wall, the second wall, hit a water tower, bounced back out on the racetrack, tore the whole rear end out from under the car for the most part. Just craziness,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I fire it back up and I pull into the infield, go drive it back to the pits. Bart was like, I told you. I know.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to you. So we had put the car back together. Just probably whatever we could to get it back on the racetrack. But we started, and I think it took all the way through qualifying, heat races. So we started the feature dead last.
Yeah.
And those cars their sportsmen's there are kind of look like a late model. They got wires on them. I think they might have a Camaro front clip. And here I am in a full frame Monte Carlo. It was a G body style Monte Carlo with modified tires on it. And I'm like, man, there ain't no way that I'm going to be able to keep up with these guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we had gotten up to 5th place. And there's probably only 7 cars. But we had gotten up to 5th place. And we didn't tear the race car up, and I didn't jump the cushion for the second time, so we had a night, you know. Well, we loaded the race car up, and the owner of 411 talked to Jake and offered up a car that they had there in the at the track.
Yeah.
It was master build. I think it was like an '08 master build. It had a steel block motor in it. So we, you know, that he had offered it up to kind of, you know, do the promotion thing, kind of like what you did with what you was talking about with your shirts and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we was super excited about that, and I was really excited. I was like, man, I just jumped this race car, but we come back and had a pretty good run. I get to drive a late model now. You know, I was like, this is going to be awesome, because of course that's what I've always wanted to do anyway. And then we go to the hotel. We had this meeting in the living room or in one of the hotel rooms, and Bartley was the one who got to drive the car. And I'll be honest with you, I was glad.
Yeah.
Bartley had the experience, and he knew more about these cars than I did. And y'all just seen what the heck I done. I just too, and went over the wall and everything else. And with it not being my car, or you know, being somebody else's car, fully somebody else's car, I was super excited. That it kind of hurt, because I always wanted to drive a late model. But it's probably a smarter decision that I don't drive it, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, Bartley raced it around here and done a really good job with that car too. It had a steel block, so it didn't have as much power as a lot of your supers do now. We couldn't race it with the crates, but Bartley done a pretty good job with that car. And then, you know, kind of when everything started falling apart, that car got to go back home.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, yeah, I do. I remember him driving that car, and so it's cool to hear how that come about with him getting in that. So, pretty cool stuff. All right, Wes, you got one shining moment. We had our one shining moment at Rock Castle this past weekend. We got out there, man.
We did. Tell them about the one shining moment.
I want you to tell them about it. You was driving, man. I was just riding.
So, the trucks are on the track. They're packing it in. It's raining. Me and Josh are the only two in the infield, and he's like, "I'm getting hungry," and I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm kind of getting hungry too," and we're kind of watching the weather. And he said, "We got a few minutes," but he said that track's slicker and snot. He said, "If we take off trying to walk out of there, we're going to fall." And I was like, "Yeah," and everybody's going to laugh at us. So we get looking around there, and there's always vehicles in the infield. It's packed trucks. So there's an old, I think a Dodge Durango sitting over there, and nobody had drove it all day. I don't know, probably months, years, who knows. Well, the keys is in it. So I run over and I fire it up, and I'm like, "You better let somebody know." I said, "Try to get a hold of Dwayne or, you know, Michelle, somebody." I said, "Let somebody know." So he calls both of them, don't get a hold of them. Finally gets a hold of Dwayne, and he's like, "Can we drive this up to the grandstand side and, you know, get something to eat and get some shirts, come back down?" He's like, "Yeah, but just watch it. Don't let it overheat." I was like, "Overheat?" I was like, I ain't even got no wiper blades much on this, and it's raining. So I looked around there and found a paper towel, and I wiped the windshield with that paper towel. And I said, "All right, let's go." And he said, "Well, don't pull out in front of any of them." And I went out of out of turn 2 there and went up through the pit. So we get over there. We get our cheeseburger. We talk to everybody. We're eating, you know, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, "All right." He said, "Let's go back on and make a couple laps and finish rolling the track in." I said, "Okay."
I wanted Wes to get a couple of laps in, man. We got that far. Wes got to kill. Yeah, there you go.
I said, "Do you want to drive?" And he's like, No, you go ahead." So I jump in there and take off. I pull on the track, and I make one lap. And the guy pulls up next to me, another track worker, and he's like, and I was like, "I don't have no flat tires." Sure enough, I had a right front flat. So he put me in the infield. So I said, "I got black flagged at Rock Castle."
made one lap and got a black flag, man. I tell you what, I was so excited too. I said, Wes finally gonna get to make some laps. It ain't under competition. Yellow flag is out. I guess the red flag, rain delay. But you know what? Wes is gonna make some laps, and we made one. Daggone.
One lap, and it was a good lap too. I think I was fast qualifier.
Yeah, fast qualifier. One shining moment for Worldwide West Lanham. Yeah, we had to go get a Worldwide West combo, man. We got out there in the infield and got hungry, and then why not make a few laps while we're here? And only lasted for one. So
fun thing to do anyway. Sounded like the fun thing to do.
It was
for sure.
We worked up an appetite when we was checking tires during qualifying of the KDRA street stocks.
Yeah, we had a big job there Saturday night.
We did.
A lot on our plate. We had to go get some food in our bellies so we could make it through the rest of the night. So
we was starved to death.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Josh, it's been a lot of fun, man. I tell you, it's always fun having you guys on here, just talk racing with you. Before we let you go, I know you probably got some sponsors and some people that help you out on that race car. Tell us about that.
Basically, one of my only sponsors I have is Couples Construction. They've been with me since the day I bought that late model. Super good dudes. Justin, he's there for me every year. It don't matter how I run or whatever, he's there for me.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that. I want to thank my brother for coming to helping me, and my fiance Beth, and our little girl Hattie, because she gets up there and she works just as hard as we do. She's 3 and she likes checking tires and changing gears and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Good.
But yeah, that's about it. I want, Daniel Dial Painting helps me out a lot, just with knowledge, because I'm still learning this stuff. Daniel, Calvin with Fast Track, he helps me out. He actually loaned me a 4 for Beckley this past weekend, because he kind of smacked the wall and knocked the rear end out of his car a little bit. So he let me borrow a 4 to put on my car for the feature. Just everybody, mainly the fans. The fans is where it's at. The fans is why we do it. The fans is why I do it. I might not be good, but maybe one day I will, and they'll remember it. Probably not, but it is what it is. I want to thank you guys for having me on. I've always wanted to come on here, but like I said, I ain't famous, I ain't fast. Why would you want me on your show? It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys, and had a lot of fun talking to you about racing and the early years of Josh Vinyard and not really knowing what the heck's going on. And it still ain't changed a whole lot. I still don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I don't either, buddy. Don't feel bad. We don't know what's going on either from
ride. Along for the ride. That's all we're here for.
Moment to moment, buddy. We just making the best of it. Oh, we got the chance to do it. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun having you on here, man. Really appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the season, and we'll talk to you at the racetrack.
That sounds awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Yeah. See you, Josh. Have a good night, buddy.
See you, buddy. All right, Josh Vinyard here on Dirt Racing the Bluegrass Live. Really a fun conversation, that whole Turtle Man thing and live action motorsports. It's kind of one of those things that if you were around at the time, you certainly remember it. And I had, like I said, I had a lot of questions about that. He talked about it before we got on here about it. It was a big deal until it wasn't, and all of a sudden it wasn't, and so. But it was a good thing while it lasted for him. So good deal. And Bartley Grant too. So
yeah, that was definitely cool. And then to hear about how he just kept trading vehicles to finally get a race car, and that's cool. And that's what this show's all about. Hearing these stories. That's what we like to do, and it's just interesting to hear all of them. And I mean, he's raced for years, but he's raced all over the country. So that's really cool to hear too.
Yeah, he has. It is cool. So thanks again to him for coming on here. Well, let's go ahead and get to the Keltner Contracting Weekend Outlook. Be sure to reach out to Keltner Contracting for all your HVAC needs. They also do duct work, cleaning, and all that good stuff. So reach out to them, and they'll be glad to take care of you. So another big weekend coming up here. Friday, June 7th. We got a couple of things going on. First of all, the Superstock Series, the KDRA Superstock Series, is going to be at Mountain Motor Speedway on Friday, making the trip down the Parkway, man, to visit Mountain Motor. I said Speedway, didn't
You did, always. Mountain Motor Complex.
Mountain
Boom,
Motor
boom, boom.
Yeah, that's right. Who could forget, man? It's Mountain Motor Complex. I'll get it one of these days, I'm telling you. If I don't, I'll have you there to back me up. So,
I mean, it took him 2 months to get Wayne's auto repair.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. I got a lot going on here, man.
I know you do.
I'll tell you what, I'll try.
Hey, you're the host. I'm just here. You're the one runs all this.
I'm trying to. I forget my name half the time. You might have to remind me sometimes what my name is, man. Shoot far, but
jumping Josh.
That's the Keltner Contracting Weekend Outlook starting there with Mountain Motor Speedway. Should be a fun weekend for them, and then they go Saturday, June 8th, to the Mud Lick. That's a makeup race there for the Superstock Series. It does look like a good weather weekend finally coming up around the house here, so that's good to see too.
Yeah, it is.
You got makeup features at Rockcastle Speedway. We mentioned that a little bit earlier. They're going to run the features that didn't get to run this past Saturday night over there at Rockcastle. And then they're going to come back and run on Saturday as well for their kickoff to summer event there for Rockcastle. Some fun stuff, man. It'd be a fun Saturday night to be at Rockcastle. Have you seen what all they're doing there on Saturday night?
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. It's a lot of fun stuff scheduled that night.
Yeah. They're going to have some really cool giveaways for kids and adults. It look like a couple prize packs there, and TMP Character Rental is going to be there with, I think, Bluey, Spider-Man, somebody else. I didn't know who they were. I just have a boy. I don't have a girl. It was like a, so, hey, I don't know. Somebody else. But a lot of stuff going on there for the kids, and be a lot of fun, as well as a full show for them there at Rockcastle. We also have the Jesse Dillo Memorial coming up at Willard Speedway. We had them on here last year to talk about that race, and it's a pretty big event there for Willard. So
yeah,
I wish them the best over there too.
Yeah, big weekend there for them at Willard.
Absolutely. And then we've got a regular show at Thunder Mountain coming up. They're back in action up there on the mountain on Saturday. So, like I said, a lot of racing going on, but around the house here. So get out and support your local racetrack this weekend. Good shows all around. But also, Wes, this is the Dream Weekend. It's not here at home. If you're not able to get anywhere this weekend on Flow Racing, you can catch the Dream. So we're going to go to the DirtmanDiecast.com Steak Dinner Pick'em Challenge. And I figure with it being Dream Weekend, we've got to pick the winner of the Dream. Where are we on our Steak Dinner Pick'em Challenge anyways?
I'm up 3-2.
We finally racked up a few points.
We finally did. You won Friday night at Ponderosa with Mikey Marler, and I won on Saturday at Rockcastle with Blake Brown. So 3-2.
3-2, man.
Still got you by one. I mean, as we've not had a lot of scoreable opportunities this year.
That's the problem. It ain't that we've had bad picks at all. It's that we haven't picked rain, man. Like really, this whole year we should have just been picking rain. Of course, we never want to do that because that's the last thing we want to talk about is rain on race day. But if we'd picked rain, we'd be in good shape right now. We'd had all kinds of points.
At least had a over under.
Yeah, no doubt. For sure, we'd have had an over under. So let's go ahead and pick the Dream winner coming up. I would say let's do Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but I'm going to be honest with you. They've changed up the format this year.
Yeah.
They've got certain drivers running Thursday and then another set of drivers running Friday, similar to what they do at Gateway.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I don't know who the drivers are running each night, so
let's just go for the granddaddy of them all. Saturday's show.
Well, it ain't the granddaddy of them all. That's
That's the
the
World 100.
The big one.
We'll
call
just yeah.
the dream.
$100,000 to win. So
yeah, that's a big one. But yeah, it's not quite the granddaddy of them all. That's coming up in September. We're gonna be there for that one.
We will be there for that one.
All right, I'll do first pick, and I have had no luck with this pick. I've picked him several times. He seems to win everything else other than when I pick him. But I can't go with anyone else right now other than RTJ. I think he picks up the win at Eldora on Saturday night. Finally gets it done for me, and I tie you up. But I got to say, man, I don't know if you paid attention much here. I like RTJ. I really do. I don't have a problem with him. I've always liked him. He's a good race car driver. But he's been in some drama here lately.
He has. I have noticed it, and I have mentioned this to several different people. Just seems like the more popular that he gets, and the more wins and accolades that he, gets, I guess you could call them. It's like he's more vocal now. I don't know. We're seeing a different side of RTJ.
Yeah.
He's still a dang good driver, but yeah, he is kind of being involved in a lot more drama. Seems like this year, last year than years prior to.
Well, here's what I thought was funny. I think it was at Fairbury. I think it was. I could be wrong about it. It was like the Saturday race a couple weeks ago when they raced those two races in Illinois. Macon, maybe. Anyways, he throws a slider on Bobby Pierce that was very, and I like RTJ. Again, I'll say it. I do. I think he's a good driver. He's a lot of fun to watch. And we all go to the racetrack. Let's be honest. We like a good soap opera anyways. That might as well be a man's soap opera. It's what we go for. And he throws a dirty slider on Bobby Pierce, which, you know what? And I thought it was pretty cool to hear Bobby Pierce at the end basically said, you know what? We'll race in the future. And because, Bobby's thrown some himself, so move on, right? Fair game, move on. But it was like dirty. And it was. You can't deny that. And then he gets out in victory lane, and he calls Garrett Smith a non-driver. He calls Garrett Smith out for. I'm like, now wait a second. How are you going to do that and then call somebody else out? I don't know, man.
And then so Garrett Smith makes a post on Facebook talking about the race and talking about RTJ and I noticed when they interviewed Bobby, he was cool and calm, but when he said, there's going to be more hard racing throughout the rest of the year, he give that little smile, that little smirk like, there come an opportunity, I get you. I mean, you look, that's a 20,000 to win race.
Yeah.
He slid him dirty for 20,000 to win. But here's another way to look at it. If Bobby don't get up there high like that and run, I don't know what happened for him to run that higher line. He just give that race away because RTJ wasn't going to get him. He made him look bad in the heat race. They lined up side by side. Bobby outran him in the heat race and would have won that race, but I don't know, he just stepped on it, I guess. And when he did, Ricky slid him and won the race, and it's all over but the crying. But I don't know. Bobby will get him back before the year's over with. Heck, he might get him this weekend.
The smirk was great. I couldn't remember exactly what he said. You hit it right on point. The smirk and all. It was like he didn't have to say anything.
No,
you knew what he meant, and maybe it happens this weekend at Eldora.
I mean, a lot bigger money on the line.
It sure is.
Would have sure liked to seen them race for $20,000 tonight with 85 cars. Would have been a great night. And
I just thought of this. It wasn't just that, but he gets out of the car there in victory lane and he says what he says about Garrett Smith. And it was it the night before or the week before where coming to the green, he put right down the front straightaway, right at the flag stand, put Jonathan Davenport in the wall.
I think it was the weekend before that.
Yeah. And it's like, That's two right there in a row, man, where it's like, how do you make that mistake? And he's kind of like, no, he don't care, man. He's like, whatever, sorry about your luck. That's kind of like RTJ's way of looking at it, it seems like. So
just a different perspective that a couple years makes. You know, he's just, I don't know if you call it confidence or cockiness or what, but he's just I don't know. He's got a different demeanor about him.
He does. But I don't mind it, to be honest with you, because we need that in racing. So it gives us something to talk about, anyways. All right, who's your pick?
That's exactly right. Oh, well, McDowell's been picked by Roberson, RTJ by Jumpin' Josh. Oh, I'm gonna go with Hudson O'Neal to win the Dream in the Rumley ride this weekend. He looked good last weekend. He won at Atomic, and I'm going with Huddy.
Oh man, that's a little bit of a sleeper pick there. Not saying normally Huddy would be a sleeper, but with all the changes that's taking place for him over here, the last little bit, it'd be really cool to see him have a good run this weekend. And finish second to RTJ. I think that. It'd be good to see him slide him coming out of 4 and take the checkered flags. It would look good. Yeah. But a lot of storyline. For this week and weekend, Bloomer's back. Mm-hmm. Warrior's in the house. I mean, it's just a lot of good cars. Cool new schemes that a lot of people have put out. I really liked Dalton Wilson's Vegas themed car. Looked really good. Christian Hanger had a Miami Vice, looking car. Mm-hmm. Turbo with the Gravedigger. Everybody said he's going to monster truck a couple drivers this weekend. Yeah,
I don't know. Eldora's just special.
Absolutely.
Wish we was up there, but we will be in September.
Yeah, we'll be there soon enough, and can't wait. But it'll be a lot of fun this weekend. Hopefully, we'll see most of you at a racetrack here locally. Look forward to a big weekend of racing here in the state of Kentucky and catching everything on flow up at the Dream at Eldora. So, it's been another fun show. Appreciate Josh Vinyard again for coming on here with us. It was a fun conversation, as it always is. We have so much fun talking to these folks. But thank you to everyone for watching and listening in with us. Too bad we couldn't have a watch party for Eldora here tonight. We'll try that again sometime, though, maybe when there's a race. And I think that'd be a lot of fun. We can all get on here and talk about what's going on and have a podcast at the same time. We'll try it again in the future.
Yeah, that was a good idea. Gonna shape up to really have a cool new flyer for tonight's show. But another good show in the books, buddy.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
It was, absolutely. Appreciate you. It's always fun. We got to get back to the racetrack, both of us at the same place again here sometime soon. We can't wait another month before doing it again next time. So, thanks everybody for watching, listening with us. It's been fun. We'll see you at the races.
Y'all have a good night.